Ooh, I'm live. No, I can't. Oh. So I guess let's see how this works. Let's see how the iPhone works out. There we go. While I'm driving. So sorry about the audio and the visual on my Linux machine. I'm going to try to figure that out. I also have a Nikon, the point and shoot, the dummy camera I call it, and I also have a semi-professional Nikon. So I will figure out the settings here, and then hopefully, I'm vlogging from my car right now on my way to take my kids to their art lesson to see how it goes live in case I should be harassed by some local authorities. I can yeah, I can. Wait, I don't want to get in this lane. I gotta take the back roads. And I'm expecting my check engine light to go off. It goes on and it goes off, so I hooked it up to the computer. Oh, I tried to hook it up to the computer, but the people who inspected my test broke the diagnostic port. So now I have to repair that because I'm not really looking for a confrontation. And it's not a terribly expensive thing to have to replace. It's just a pain in the ass. So anyway, hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well, and I've read the comments section on my last test. This is the second one. Passing the Christian bookstore now. Yeah, well, you know, I don't announce live stream. This is a test. So,
the audio works.
yeah. I don't want to talk about anything too important because I'm saving that for when I can actually show them visuals and documents and stuff. But maybe I should tell you all a little about myself. There are a few things that I could probably discuss without having to show visuals. One of them I'd like to discuss is Robin Williams. I'm from Binghamton, New York, and if you don't know where Binghamton, New York is, it's about 7 miles from the Pennsylvania border. I'm about 3 hours from the city, depending on how you drive. If you drive like me, it's probably more like 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm just kidding. Depending on whether or not you take 17 or you decide to go down through Scranton, Pennsylvania, and then up through New Jersey. Sometimes that's quicker, even though the distance is, I believe it's longer. This is also the home to Rod Serling. And hi, you know, and I have to tell you a little about myself so you can understand where I'm coming from, because it's not like my awakening just happened one day. You know, I've known for a very long time that something was seriously wrong since I was a child, but you never can quite put your hand on it, so you kind of go jumping from thing to thing. And there's things that you like about it, and then there's things that you see that are obviously corrupt, and people are so stuck in that hole that it's comfortable, they don't want to come out. So I was one of the first 10 graduates of the Rod Serling School of Fine Arts, that was set up by Dr. Stephen Porter, who was my mentor, and he's the one who mentored me into politics, because in my senior year I took music theory with him as a pianist. And my class was so tiny because he was so selective, and he was going to throw me out because he had never seen me in the music theory class before. But then once he found out that I was taught by the same woman who taught his most favorite jazz pianist, Dina DeRose, he allowed me to stay. And even then, he wasn't even curious about me until after he tested me in front of the class, and I was answering questions that people who had been studying piano for 8-10 years could not answer, and I had basically learned all that stuff in about a year and a half. So yeah, shout out to anybody out there who studied at the Donna Dowling Piano Conservatory. So Stephen set up the School of Fine Arts, and Stephen didn't have any children. he did raise seeing eye dogs, so I also got an education about that. And he also ran as a Democrat a few times for office, although he was very pro Second Amendment as a sharpshooter. I studied theater with Lorraine Alnowich, who was hand-selected, from what I understand, by Helen Foley, who was the one who mentored Rod Serling. And I was assistant director to Lorraine on some school productions, and I also took theater with her, and she was the one who recruited me into the theater program because I had her for English. They were short English teachers one year, so they had the drama teacher teach English. So she was friends with like Richard Bell, who is I don't know if the show's still on the air, one of the producers for The Young and the Restless. I also have friends here locally. I know people who are, I don't know how to put it, let's just say one of them was assistant director to Oliver Stone. So oftentimes that leaves me privy to a lot of inside information. And getting back to Robin Williams, this person had I've been privy to no information from him about Robin Williams, but I was privy to some information about Robin Williams because my ex-husband worked for Darwin Wales family, and Darwin Wales is a very prominent lawyer here in Binghamton, like upper echelon of Binghamton, and also quite tight with Remy Perot, who is Ross Perot's third cousin. So anyway, my ex-husband worked for his family, and he considers Darwin's son like an uncle to him. So what I did find out was that Robin Williams, this was back in his, I don't know if it was right around the Mork and Mindy days, was more or less involved with Darwin Wales' niece. And the family hated him because he was an asshole, as I heard from one of the cousins. And he very much, from what I was told, I would guess that he mimicked the behavior was what we would know as bipolar. So when you see things like on Family Guy where they show like Robin Williams like blowing his, committing suicide, I think it was a hanging, anybody that knew him and knew him well, Robin Williams, knew that he was a very, very depressed person. And because he was a very depressed person, but what we see, what they allow us to see through the propaganda, or as we know it today, public relations, we don't get to see those things. Most people don't know those things. So they just think that whatever image that is in front of them is the reality that they've orientated themselves to, when that is not the case. Another example I'd like to point out, and this is just from public record, is Caitlyn Jenner, right? Bruce Jenner. They'll show that's another Family Guy thing where they had him prancing around in drag, and then you see like Dave Coulier, who was on the show Full House, go, oh, we all knew that. That's and when they show these things like on The Simpsons and on the Family Guy and American Dad and in other productions, Hollywood productions, I just want to point out here that it's an inside joke, and it's to the effect of mocking the people who don't realize that what they're being fed by the mainstream media is not reality. It's a false reality. You're being sold an image. You're being sold a brand. And if you need for proof of that, and it's no longer on the internet, but I'm sure many of you will remember Randy Quaid's breakdown there. Those actors and actresses, in order to kind of lessen their tax burden, they become corporations, they become LLCs. And this is something that I've seen happen in the YouTube community, where they become creatures at law. Your name, you're no longer you. You now become a creature of law, and that's how these actors and actresses get controlled, because then you need all these people around you to manage that corporation, that fictitious entity. And basically that's how Randy Quaid got screwed. His YouTube channel, or his wife's YouTube channel, has since disappeared, and all that content has been taken down. So yeah, so I've been privy to some information. Somebody else I know carried Robert Kennedy's casket, and I had one of my libertarian friends with me. He was running for office, and I took him to a party. And these are people who I love dearly. They're creative people. They're just very, as I know them to be, good people, fun-loving people. And we're sitting there talking, and I introduced him because we'd gotten to the party very late, and a lot of the people I wanted to introduce him to had already left. And all of a sudden, and I didn't even know this, he just was like, yeah, we were having a moment there. And my friend turned to me and he's like, how do you know these people? And I'm like, I just talk to people, I'm just, probably because I'm so involved in the, I love art, I love music, but I'm also not a stupid broad either. Although I've been known to, on occasion, dabble in the arts of, how would we put it, follies. I do have a nice collection of follies, like my marriage, for example. But yeah, so I'm hoping to, once I get my technical difficulties worked out here, bring you some interesting content and point you, or at least give another perspective on some of these things. I don't dare to say too much more at this point, and I won't give all my sources because I just don't want to throw anybody in the line of fire here. But I do feel that some transparency is due, and that some disclosure is compulsive if I am going to gain your trust enough to have, when I say don't trust what I'm saying, I really want people to really just go and research this stuff for themselves, what they can, as far as the court stuff goes, and the Constitution, and some other things. But okay, I think that's it, because I'm getting close to my destination here. So I hope you're all having an absolutely wonderful Sunday, and the sun's finally coming out.
As you end your live stream.
As I end my live stream. I know I want to stop and get some. Oh, they don't have any more Honeycrisp. They had them for 99 cents a pound. Okay.
Gone.
They're gone. Okay.
Subscribe.
Bye. Now, subscription is optional.
Subscribe
Bye.
to me. I need subscribe.